We first realised that Mum wasn't quite herself back in December 2017. A short family trip to Disneyland Paris turned into a little bit of chaos. We boarded the bus in our hometown and set off down towards the Channel. We crossed the Channel. Everything to everyone seemed quite normal. There were 6 of us in the party. On the other side, we started to nod off, it being quite a long day. Mum woke up quite suddenly. We were sat on the very back of the bus, so we had the 4 seats at the back and then 2 seats in front of those for the 6 party of us. When Mum woke, she clutched my arm and gasped and said to me, "Can I tell everyone?" I just said, "Yeah, tell them what you like." I didn't know what was going to be happening after this. And Mum just said, "This is my son. I've just found out." Well, that was the start of us understanding Mum had a memory issue. We kind of shrugged it off and just put it down to waking up with a start, etc., like you would. But once we arrived at the resort, we had a meal and settled down for the night. Now, the sleeping arrangements quite simply were I'd paired my mum up with a female friend of ours who we've known for quite a long time, and they were sharing a room. Then there's me and my partner in the other room, and our 2 friends had another room. So it was 3 rooms, and it was all perfectly normal. The morning after, our friend who was sharing with Mum was a little uncomfortable asking, but she said that Mum wasn't the easiest person to spend the night with, as she was not staying in bed. She was walking around the room, unpacking and packing her suitcase, and then she was touching my friend's feet. We simply decided that my partner would then share the room with my friend, and then I would go and share the room with my mum to see how she gets on with me. We then set off to the theme park, and to be fair, we had a good time. It was Disneyland Paris when it comes to it, so that's what we'd gone for. We'd gone for a good time with Mum. There were some things that, looking back now, were quite obvious signs of a memory issue developing. Every 5 minutes, Mum was asking, "Where's my handbag? Where's my handbag?" It literally was every 5 minutes. It got to the point that we left it in the room the following day to stop her worrying where it was every 5 minutes by telling her, "You've left it in the room." So, but looking back again, that was an obvious sign that something was a bit more awry than we'd expected. Otherwise, the holiday was a very good holiday, and I spent the night with Mum, and she was up and down the whole night. She can't have spent more than 10 minutes in the actual bed. She just kept getting up, going to the bathroom, going back to bed, getting up, getting her clothes out of the bag, putting her clothes back in the bag, coming over to see who I am, touching my feet. I think it was just a thing at the time. It was just an experience that I wouldn't change it for the world, but it's when it settles thinking we need to be looking at some kind of plan for Mum, because this isn't going to get better. We returned back home, and Mum went back to her house, and we came back to ours, and all the respective friends went back to their own homes. Andy and I then spent a good week deliberating what the best action would be. Bearing in mind, Mum was 88 at the time and living in a 2-storey property. Now, just that in general, taking the dementia and Alzheimer's out of the picture, the fact that Mum living in an upstairs property, well, not so much upstairs property, but having an upstairs gives the possibility of a fall, especially as she's approaching her 90s. Logic dictates we had to do something. So we looked at our property, which is a 4-bedroom dormer bungalow, and we worked out by moving walls, putting in partitions and rejigging purposes of rooms that were already there, it would be feasible to allow Mum to move in with us into her own apartment where we still have access, but she's got her own independence. Now, this was no mean feat. It took 3 months of hard slog with family members helping all the time. It was really good time. It took 3 months of very hard work with all hands on deck. I can't thank Andy's family enough. They did amazing for us, and after 3 months' time, with no knowledge at all, we invited Mum over and we showed her what we'd done, and I'm not really sure whether she took it all in, but she said how lovely it was, and we invited her to stay for the night. That was May 2018, and she's been with us since. She's not once asked about her previous house, which is a blessing because she'd lived there for a long time. It works really well. I will be doing another video which shows how we converted our property to allow Mum to stay here, but the simple fact is she needed help, she was unable to ask for help, and she's always said to me, whatever you do, Mark, please don't put me in a home. And to this day I've kept my word. She still lives with us. She has 4 carers a day coming to make sure she's okay, and we are here on her site 24 hours a day to make sure she's okay.